This is Optimal Finance Daily, episode 659, How to Get Rich, the One Required Skill, Part 2, by Nick True of mappedoutmoney.com. And I'm Dan, the guy who reads to you from some of the best blogs on personal finance. I'm here every weekday doing just that. And actually, I talk every weekday about business as well. You can hear me narrate articles all about management, entrepreneurship, freelancing, productivity, creativity, marketing, social media, and a lot more over at another of our podcasts called Optimal Business Daily. But for this show, today is actually a continuation from yesterday, so if you are new to our show or perhaps skipping around and sampling different episodes, it would be best to check out yesterday's episode first. Now, let's get right to part 2 as we continue optimizing your life. How to Get Rich, the One Required Skill, Part 2, by Nick True of mappedoutmoney.com. The good news, it's a learned skill. Sure, just like many things, some people naturally have more self-drive than others. But don't be too upset. If you're fretting because you don't have very much willpower, then don't worry. The good news is that it can be learned. It will take time and it will be difficult, but you can learn it. The best way is to start building small habits over time and set goals that actually make sense. If you want to increase your self-determination, here's 3 simple ways to get started. 1. Start surrounding yourself with people who are more driven than you. It could be in their own finances, in their careers, or even in being a good spouse or parent. Stop hanging around with people who are lazy and bring you down. Instead, find people who are already where you want to be and spend time with them. 2. Start listening to podcasts and reading books that motivate you. This may sound cheesy and ridiculous, but it works. Start soaking in media that inspires you to take action and focus on the things you want to strive towards. 3. Write down your future goals. Then every Sunday, spend 30 minutes and reflect on the previous week and whether or not you focused on your goals. And then write down 3 things you can do this week to push forward. Keep in mind, these goals could be anything that will help you achieve the future you dream of. Maybe it's making an extra student loan payment or putting in a few extra hours at work because you're hoping for that big promotion. It doesn't matter what it is, it just matters that you start doing something about it. The bad news? You have no excuse. Because it's a learned skill, you have no excuse not to retire wealthy. If you get to be 60 years old and you can't retire, you have no one to blame but yourself. Unfortunately, I see this all the time. I know people who are closing in on 60 and retirement is nowhere in sight. But what's even worse is they don't want to take responsibility. There's always an excuse about kids or parents or job changes or house emergencies or medical issues or blah, blah, blah. I'm not trying to be heartless here. Yes, all of those things are real and all of those things are part of life. But going back to what I said earlier, no one cares. Meaning having self-drive can be learned and it's a skill that can be grown. Combine that with the fact that no one else cares about your future more than you do, and that means the weight falls on your shoulders. It may be tough to hear, but it's the truth. Albeit bittersweet, but the truth nonetheless. If you get to the end of your life and you never did what you hoped to accomplish, you have no one to blame but yourself. But I don't want to end on a sad note. I'm not trying to be harsh here, just trying to show a bit of tough love. But I know it's hard to hear. It's hard for me too. I hate thinking about the fact that if I don't achieve what I set out to achieve, that's on me. Luckily, this is a truth that my dad taught me when I was just a young boy. I learned early on the value of hard work and self-drive. Yes, it's hard, but it's worth it. Just remember, it's a good thing that you can learn how to be more self-driven. It means that if you weren't born rich, you can still achieve the life that you want. It means that you aren't stuck with the hand you were dealt at birth. You have the ability to change your future. You've just got to go after it. I'll leave you with this quote from Vince Lombardi, the coach of the Green Bay Packers, claiming 5 NFL championships in 7 years. The difference between a successful person and others is not a lack of strength, not a lack of knowledge, but rather a lack of will. So there you have it. It doesn't matter what your income was, who your parents are, or what city you were born in. You can't change those things, so it's useless worrying about them. Instead, focus on what you can change, which is how hard you work, how much you care, and how much drive you have. You just listened to part 2 of the post titled How to Get Rich, the One Required Skill by Nick True of MappedOutMoney.com. And before we go, just a reminder that earlier this year, I took over the hosting duties for one of our newest shows in our podcast network, Optimal Business Daily, where you can hear me narrate from a bunch of popular business bloggers every day of the week, just like I do for finance on this show. And our topics over there include freelancing, entrepreneurship, management, marketing, productivity, and much more. So again, that's Optimal Business Daily, and you can subscribe for free in Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, your Amazon device, and pretty much any podcast app. So that'll do it for me today here at Optimal Finance Daily. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you tomorrow in the Friday show, where your optimal life awaits.